Given your extensive experience in talent acquisition, as you just explained us about, how have you seen the expectations of the young professionals and the university graduates evolve over the past few years?
Absolutely, Richa. It's a pretty long journey if you ask me. When I think about it, right? Like, if you look at the current generation, which is trying to find a job, who are graduates, right? Who are trying to get into, especially into the corporate IT field, their aspirations are a lot more different compared to a lot of us who may have originated our journey a couple of decades back, right? The new generation is looking into companies with a social cause predominantly. They also look at the way the companies have got their values and statements along with the kind of work they are doing. They're also aspiring for newer technologies, which we will talk about that maybe later, because in the current world, you need to be a little flexible in terms of both new versus the older technologies. But definitely, these are the two or three striking areas that I find that current graduates focused on. In our earlier generations, maybe I'm talking about maybe a two decades back, or maybe 10 or 15 years back, they were the kids at that time were predominantly looking for a break in their career, right? They were a lot more little more flexible in terms of technology. They were, and if you look at a lot of the job advertisements which used to come long time back in our era, when I say our, I'm talking about my era, Richa. So they were mostly, you would say, a job in one company, but it not call out which technology you are getting hired into. They would not say what are the shift work you are getting placed into, because people at that time were a little more flexible. They, for them, the job was the most important part. Then they will decide what is the technology or the domain that they're going to be working across. I think the new generation a little more choosier in terms of how they want to kind of do, and the company causes, right? That I find it as a great thing, because they actually also value some of the company statements related to what, like for example, sustainability. What would be one thing? How they are actually kind of being friendly in from a environment standpoint of view. How is the company giving back to the society? These are very big things that a lot of graduates nowadays are checking on the job before even clicking on an apply button. Back to you, Richa.
So this is actually nice to hear about the awareness that people have. So definitely, I would say there are some good things and some not so good things, like understanding about the organization, the vision and the purpose. These are really good things that you want to create an impact from day one. But what are not so good things would you say that if they just try to work on themselves would be a better way to look at things?
Richa, one is actually the reality of the industry also right now, right? Quite a bit of things are changing right now. The first one would be the tenacity and the flexibility that they are bringing onto the equation, right? They need to be a lot more flexible, because not every company can provide you the latest of technologies. That's not the reality of the industry, right? If you go to any big company, you can't expect everyone who is getting applying for a job over there to be getting an AI opportunity or something to start on a Python or the newest technologies. That's not the reality of what we all stand for, right? There are still a lot of applications which each of our companies, which maybe in the earlier technologies or slightly older technologies, and somebody has to work on it, right? So we have to be um, open for that. That's one important thing. Not giving up. That's another thing. The third would be the loyalty factor, right? I think the new folks who are actually joining us these days, for them, they are not into the company like some of us who were older in terms of when we joined, and we generally would stick on to the company for slightly more longer period of time. The new generation, actually, for them, 2 or 3 years, if they are investing, they think it's better to kind of start looking out for something. There are a lot of positives which are there when you stick across to companies for longer periods of time, compared to switching jobs quite frequently. It's okay to switch job. It's not that it's not okay to switch job, but sometimes when you are starting your career, it makes a little bit more sense if you stick onto a company for a longer period of time, because then you strengthen your core fundamentals and especially the domain knowledge quite strongly. And I think I'm a strong believer that domain knowledge takes you a very long way compared to technology. So that would be one thing that I would want the new generation to be focusing on for sure, Isha.
Thank you. This is really interesting. Thank you.